today we are going to talk about an island economy that has, and this is no exaggeration, become the central nervous system for our entire digital world. And I'm talking, of course, about Taiwan. For decades, it's been a manufacturing powerhouse, but its role today is something else entirely. It has become truly indispensable, so let's just start with one single, absolutely staggering number: 90%. And what is that? Well, that's Taiwan's share of the manufacturing for the world's most advanced semiconductors. You know, those tiny, impossibly complex brains that power literally everything from the phone in your pocket to the car to the massive data centers that are driving this whole AI revolution. And also, there is this quantum technology which my dad keeps talking about, but yes, it will change everything from your world, our world, and it will change everything about AI, crypto, and it is truly revolutionary. But that I will cover in the next video. Anyway, back to Taiwan. Almost all of the semiconductors come from this small island. So that leads us to the big question we're tackling here. How did a relatively small island with almost no natural resources of its own manage to place itself right at the very heart of the 21st century economy? And I'll tell you this much, it was no accident. It was the result of a very deliberate, decades-long plan to really get what's happening now. We have got to go back. The story of Taiwan's economic rise is so incredible that people often call it the Taiwan miracle. It's a journey from a want-on agricultural society to a global high-tech titan. And it all happened with just unbelievable speed. But before talking just about its economy, let's talk a bit about the politics surrounding it. According to today's Beijing, Taiwan was separated from mainland China in 1949, and the Chinese government has been advancing the proposal of peaceful reunification since the 1950s. And in May 1960, the communist leader Mao gave a proposal that, with the exception of foreign affairs, which must be handled by the national authorities, all the military and political power and the power of appointing officials may be delegated to the Taiwanese authorities. And this concept was given a name: one country, two systems. And there's a backstory to this conflict which cannot be ignored, and all of this is important for investor. The today's Taiwanese government was once an opposition bloc to the communist Mao bloc before the civil unrest of 1940s in mainland China. It was known as the KMT. They lost and they fled to Taiwan, which is an island just 100 miles away from mainland China. While the Chinese government views Taiwan as a breakaway province, only 3% of the people in Taiwan think of themselves as primarily Chinese, according to an American think tank. Okay? And today, the Democratic Progressive Party, DPP, rules the country, which considers Taiwan separate from China and promotes a separate national identity. We need to remember this while talking about this issue, that the US has been funding Taiwan since the 1950s. The US took the opportunity of the conflict between these two blocs to essentially dominate this region. Anyway, back to the topic. This timeline really breaks down how they did it in 4 key stages. The innovation. Now, back in the 50s, it started with import substitution, basically making stuff for themselves to stabilize the economy. Then from the 60s to the 80s, the strategy completely flipped to export-oriented industrialization, which turned Taiwan into a manufacturing giant for the world. But the real game changer, the big one, came in the 80s with a hard pivot into high-tech and semiconductors. And that set the stage for where we are today. A focus on strategic autonomy, where Taiwan is trying to lock in its indispensable role on the world stage. So that high-tech pivot was built on a truly revolutionary idea, one that was pioneered in Taiwan. See, back in the day, companies like Intel designed and built their own chips. But this new model came along, the pure play foundry. The concept is simple but very profound. You design the chip, and we will build it for you. We are not going to compete it with you. We are just going to be the best manufacturer on the planet. An idea that big needs a place to grow, right? Well, that place was the Hsinchu Science Park. It was a government-backed initiative founded back in 1980, and it basically became the cradle of Taiwan's tech dominance. It was designed to nurture the island's most promising companies, and that included the one that would go on to define Taiwan's entire future, the TSMC. And that brings us to the company at the very heart of the story, the Taiwan Semiconductor Manufacturing Company. This is the firm that defines the island's modern economic power. For all intents and purposes, it is the sovereign of silicon. This quote, this gets right at the core of the TSMC success. This was their whole philosophy. By promising to never design their own chips, they made themselves the trusted, totally neutral partner for every brilliant, fabulous design company out there. You know, companies like Nvidia, Apple, AMD who design amazing chips but do not have their own factories. They could give TSMC their most secret, valuable designs and know that TSMC was a partner, not a future competitor. And the result of that trust, just look at this. It's pure market dominance. When you look at the most advanced chips in the world, we are talking about the sub 5 nanometer stuff. TSMC has a near total monopoly. It controls over 90% of the market. Everyone else is just fighting over the scraps. And that kind of dominance, it translates into some absolutely jaw-dropping financial numbers. Just look at these projected figures. For 2025, over $122 billion in revenue, a net income of $54 billion. But the really crucial number here is that the gross margin nearly is 60%. That shows insane pricing power. A company that big with 60% gross profit margin, that's very rare to find. It means when you are the only one who can make what the world desperately needs, you can pretty much set your own price. All of this activity is causing these massive shifts in the global trade. The AI boom and just a general reshuffling of geopolitics led to this historic moment in the first quarter of 2026. The US actually overtook mainland China to become Taiwan's #1 export destination. That is a huge change, and it shows you how new supply chains are being drawn all around the world. But having this much power, this much critical infrastructure concentrated in one single place, well, it comes with enormous risks. And this is not just a success story, it's a story of incredible tension and incredible high stakes for the entire planet. So what's the price of being so dominant? Well, it really boils down to 4 key challenges. First, there is a concentration risk. The whole world is relying on just a few companies in one geographic spot. Second, energy anxiety. These factories are unbelievably power hungry. Third, you've got immense geopolitical pressure coming from all sides. And finally, there's a growing talent gap. It's getting harder to find the specialized engineers you need to run these places. And let's talk about energy for a second. Taiwan's industrial sector already consumes more than half of the island's total electricity. Now the AI boom is basically pouring gasoline on that fire. These new chip fabs need a staggering amount of power. And here's the kicker. Taiwan has to import almost all of its fuel. That makes it extremely vulnerable to any kind of disruption. And to really put that into perspective, just one company, TSMC, consumes somewhere between 7 and 10% of all the electricity used in the entirety of the Taiwan. One company using a tenth of nation's power. It's an almost unbelievable figure, and it just highlights the massive scale of this challenge. This all leads to a huge geopolitical paradox. For years, the theory was that the Taiwan's chip dominance acted as a silicon shield. The idea was that its economy was just too important to the world to fail, which would protect it from conflict. But the reality we are seeing now is actually something called geographic decoupling. The US, Europe, Japan, they are all pushing TSMC to build super expensive new factories on their soil to reduce their dependency on the island. So in a strange way, the shield is actually causing other countries to build their own fortresses. So when you boil it all down, whether we are talking about our phones, our cars, or our medical equipment, or the whole future of artificial intelligence, it's really not an overstatement to say that the modern world runs on Taiwan. And that leaves us with this final, really critical question. Is this incredible concentration of tech power, this silicon shield, a genuine source of security for Taiwan or for the rest of us? Or have we accidentally created a single point of failure whose disruption could send shock waves through the entire global economy? That is the precarious balance the world is grappling with right now. Now, apart from this, some scientists are working on a quantum procession unit which is based upon quantum technology, which will solve a lot of problems that we are currently facing with the current GPU chips, like the heating issue, huge power consumption, and those chips will be called QPUs. Some people in the industry claim that these chips will reduce the power consumption by 100 times, and they don't heat up, which makes them scalable and efficient for data center needs. And I will talk about the companies innovating in the quantum technology space and those which are going to revolutionize our world in my next video.